All right, in this video, we are going to be going over the ArrayListMerge program, and you can kind of see the directions up here on the screen. I'll explain it more in this video too. And then there's also a starter code. So you want to load this starter code in to your editor. All right, when you get it in there, it'll look like this. It's basically going to have a couple array lists, A and B, and then it's going to populate them with some numbers, some integers. All right. And then we have to do a method. I guess we got to call the method too. It's not being called up here, but that's going to merge them together. Okay, and we want to keep them in order. So currently these are in increasing order, and so are they in B. So our result also wants to have all these numbers in increasing order, which is what makes this kind of tough. But anyways, this method is going to take into arrays to array lists and return a third array list that has these two merged together. Okay, and so to make it, a little more concrete, there's a couple examples. One is right here, right? So you might want to look at that. It just takes all the numbers and merges them together, and it keeps the output in increasing order. Okay, and then I'm going to walk through it a little bit more here too. I know these are different numbers, but I think it'll help make sense. So kind of the idea, again, maybe pause the video here and think of the algorithm first on your own before continuing. All right, so the idea is we're going to basically compare the initial values, right? So basically, we're going to have spot 0 in each array, right? We're going to look at that spot, and whichever one is smaller, right, we're going to remove it and put it in the return array, the resulting array. Okay, so what happens is if we remove it, then this array, now spot 0 will be a different number 4. Then we'll compare spot zeros again. This one is smaller, so we'll take that one. And now this one, if we remove it again, now 5 will become spot 0. So now we can compare spot zeros again, take the smaller of the two, remove it out of here, move this over. Now compare again. This 5 is smaller, so we're going to take that one, move it over. 6 and 8. So now 6 is still smaller, so we put that one in, move it over, right? And then between 8 and 9, it's going to take the 8, move this over. Now it really doesn't have to move over. If we just remove it, it'll automatically remove over. And now 9 is smaller, 11 is smaller. Okay, and then this is kind of the hard part. Like once one of them is out of elements, like once one is empty, then we want to take all the ones from the remaining array list. Okay, so basically, now these are in order, and so now we just take one at a time from this one until we're out of the ones in array list B. Okay, and that's what makes it tricky, sort of the end, because you're gonna end up doing a while loop, and basically, I kind of set up so while both of them have elements, you take the smaller of the two, and then once one of them is out of elements, you got to check to see if there's elements in either one of the array, and if there is, then throw them on the end of the resulting merged array. Okay, so again, I would try parts of this code on your own, and unpause the video as needed, right? So try whatever you can, and then come back. All right, so the first thing here is I want to make a new one that represents the result. So I'm going to call it just C to be simple, but generally you might want to make it a little more descriptive, but this is a pretty short method, so it's not going to matter too much. So I'm going to make it has nothing in it initially, okay? And then here's where it gets kind of tricky is I want to go while either one of those things has elements. No, while they both have elements. So while a dot size is greater than 0 and b dot size is greater than 0. So they both have at least one element in them. Okay, then I'm gonna see which I'm gonna probably. Well, how do we want to do it? Let's get them one at a time. Let's do integer. The a int is going to be a dot get, and I'm always going to get the 0 spot, right? And then I'm going to get the other one, the b int, so b dot get at the 0 spot, and then I want to figure out which one's less. So if a is less than b, should do that though. If a int and b int, so if a int is less than the b int, then so a is less, so I'm going to call a dot remove. Okay, and I'm going to remove the 0 spot. Okay, and then I'm going to add the a int to my result. So I'm going to do the C array that add the a int because it was the smaller of the one. Okay, otherwise, if it wasn't smaller, then I'm just going to do the b one. So I'm going to call b.remove spot 0 and then c.add the b int. Right, so then I'm going to add the one from b. Okay, and we'll keep doing this while a size, whoops, I should have greater than 0. So while the a has elements and while b has elements, while they both have elements. Okay, and so then again at the end, right, once we get here, we know one of them has ran out of elements, but the other one probably still has elements in it. So we don't really know which is which. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another while. I'm just going to check. I'm going to say while a.size is greater than 0. So if a has any more elements in it, then I'm just going to call, and you can kind of do this. Well, I would do it this way. I would call c.add, and then I would just call a.remove the 0 spot. I would just one at a time just add them. Right, so we're going to remove them from A and add them to C. Right, in order, we take the 0 spot first. Right, if you go back and look at this, right, we're always pulling from the 0 spot. Right, so basically we're going to add to C one that we removed from A. This method returns an int, whatever one was removed, and then that will get added to C. Okay, and then if B had any, because we don't know which one had any left, so if B had some left, then we want to do the same thing, c.add, but b.remove. That would take them from B and add them one at a time to C. Okay, and then to see if it worked, so let's see, so we got to call it. So we wrote the code there, and oh, it's complaining that I'm not returning it. So when I'm finally done, I got to return C, and then I'm going to call it up here. So I'm going to call array list of integers called merged or whatever you want to call it, and then call the method. So I'm going to just call merge sort with A and B, those array lists. And then I'm going to sys out print. So I think we don't need a fancy method here because it'll just print out the array list elements one at a time. So we can cross our fingers and see that looks pretty good, like they're in order. All right. And we could, we could make some new test cases if we really want to make sure. We could add a bunch here and maybe make them all be big. So like 21, 21, I don't know why I'm doing that, but 55. So just make them all big so that these must get spun off at the end after the 16. So we can run it and see, looks like it's going okay, right? And again, this assumes that the original two are in order, and then it always looks at the 0 element and merges them that way. So that's it. It's kind of tricky, but I thought it was a good algorithm and a good practice with array lists. So that is all. Just don't forget, turn in your code either out here or in your Google Drive folder. Thanks for watching.